Hey everyone, it's Madison from PH Doodling. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be showing you my June bullet journal monthly setup. This month is a really busy month for me. I'm actually getting married at the beginning of June, and so I'm going to be traveling and out and about a lot, and I have a lot of things to get done over the next couple of weeks, and so I wanted a very easy, simple bullet journal setup for this month. And so my inspiration for this theme actually came from an image that I came across on Pinterest, and I went ahead and actually found the artist who created this cover page, and I'll link her picture and account above so you can see what she did. She did this lovely, beautiful pastel floral theme. It looks like she did it in watercolors, and so I thought this would be a really fun theme to try and recreate in my bullet journal with my Tombow markers. So you can see here I am going ahead and starting to outline all of my doodles that I had pre-drawn in pencil. I'm using my Micron Pigma pen to do these outlines. I used a few different size tips. I used, I think, my .01, my .03, and then my plastic nib tip as well, just to kind of add a few different details to some of these flowers to give them a little bit more definition. I really liked how these flowers seem to be kind of sprouting out from my word June across the bottom, and it was just a really quick, simple cover page to do for this theme, and I really liked how it turned out. I thought it was super fun. And so now I'm going ahead and just lettering the month of June down at the bottom. I decided to keep it simple and use my black Tombow marker to do this because I really wanted these flowers to stand out. So now that I had actually outlined my doodles, I was excited to go in and add color. And so going off the inspiration from the image that I saw, I kind of wanted to create a watercolorish effect with my markers. And so I chose a very soft color palette with mostly pastels, and I did a lot of different layering between my different colors with that I was using to try and create that effect of watercolors. And I really like how it turned out. I think it kind of gives a little bit more dimension to these flowers and just kind of mixes it up a little bit. So I was really happy with how this turned out, and again, it was so easy and super quick to do, which was exactly what I needed this month. This color palette is a little bit different from what I typically do. I normally pick a lot of very bright colors, and so this was something a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I was really happy with how it turned out, and glad that I decided to do something a little bit out of normal for me. Moving on now to my monthly overview calendar. I just did a few simple little flower doodles down at the bottom just to kind of add a little bit to the page underneath my calendar. I mostly do my planning on my weekly spreads, but I do like having this monthly calendar so I can write big dates and due dates throughout the month and then transfer them onto my weekly spreads throughout the weeks. I just did a simple grid calendar, and you can see I'm adding in those lines. I decided to use all those pastel colors to make little dots to write my numbers on, and I kind of think it added a little bit more color, and I really like how it turned out. The last thing I decided to do was actually add these cute little dot stickers that I purchased from my Paper Panda shop. They added just a little bit more color, and I really like kind of how it added to the abstract floral overall. And the pink colors matched perfectly, and I thought they were super fun to add. I actually used tweezers to add them on, and it worked out really, really well. If you're interested in purchasing anything from their shop, I have a discount code linked below for 10% off your purchase. They have so many things to fill all of your stationery needs. I'm super happy with how this first spread turned out, and I love the extra little depth that those stickers added. Moving on to my trackers. For this month, I decided to do another spread with my habit and mood trackers spread across the two separate pages. I really liked doing this last month, and so it was something I definitely wanted to do again. You can see I'm working now on the habit section and adding those in. The things that I'm tracking this next month are walking Gus, drinking my water, taking my vitamins, cross-stitching, my hobby, flossing, eating vegetarian, and reading the news. The next thing for my mood tracker is I decided that each day I would color in a different flower, so you can see I'm working on those below. I decided to do those all across the bottom to kind of look like a flower garden. I thought it turned out really fun, and it's going to be super, super fun to fill in throughout the month. I really like doing these habit and mood trackers spread across two pages instead of each on their own. I think it kind of just makes it a little bit more interesting, and it allows me to do really kind of complex and larger mood trackers like this one, because you just need more space when you do something like this. Finally, I went ahead and added in all those dates for my habit trackers, which is where I'll go ahead and fill those in. And the last step you can see as I'm again taking some of those cute, adorable stickers that I purchased and adding them to kind of the headers of this spread. And that's all. This is super quick because I'll fill it out throughout the month. Moving on now to my content planner and my quote. The quote I decided to include this month reads, "Happiness blooms from within." I think this is a really nice quote and it fit perfectly with my floral theme this month. I decided to do it in pretty big letters across the page and then added kind of a cascade of flowers next to it. I did my lettering in black again because I really wanted those flowers to stand out. And then finally, again, I'm going in and layering all those colors. I really enjoyed layering like the pinks and the yellows together to kind of create an orange. This was a really great way of using, only 4 or 5 colors, but having, mixing them to have even more colors included throughout my spread. This was a really super quick quote, and I kind of liked the simplicity of this theme. A lot of my themes often are very doodle heavy, and so they take a long time. So this was a really nice refreshing break, especially because I have just been so busy with wedding planning and everything as well. I again decided to take a few of those little dot stickers from my Paper Panda shop and add a few into the corner. I couldn't believe how perfectly those pink colors matched with my palette, and I just liked kind of the extra depth it added to these pages. Moving on now to my content planner. This again is my very standard content planner where I actually have a line for each day of the month. You can see I went ahead and wrote the date and day of the week there, and then I highlighted Saturday and Sundays just to kind of help me visualize where the weeks were. I also have in the corner just a little space for me to write my growth of followers on both Instagram and YouTube. This is something I do for me personally just so I can kind of see how my accounts are both growing throughout the month. My content this month is going to be a little bit less than what it typically is. Normally I try and post every other day, but throughout the month of June, because of my wedding and going on my honeymoon, I am just going to try to take a little bit of a break from social media, so I'll be posting a lot less than I normally do. But I hope that you'll still follow along as I show you all these wonderful pages for the month. I again used all those same doodles that I've used throughout this setup so far. I really enjoyed drawing these flowers. I got super quick at it, and it was a really quick theme to do. And there's this content planner and quote. I'm super excited with it, and it's going to be super helpful in planning all of my posts this month. Now moving on to the last part of my monthly spread setup, which is my 2 lines a day. This is my form of memory keeping that I like to do in my bullet journal. I have always struggled with trying to keep up with any form of a journal, and I found that this is really what works for me. I'm so proud to say that I've continued it ever since I started it back in January, and I'm so glad that it was something I decided to incorporate in my bullet journal setup. I like to do this layout where I divide each of the pages into about 15 days, where again, there are 2 lines for each day where I can just write a little blurb or a little quick summary of what happened that day. I decided to do a few different flower doodles in each of the corners to just add a little bit of something. This page always looks pretty blank after I've completed it in my setup videos, but at the end of the month, after I filled it in, the entire pages are filled with writing because I really do have a lot to reflect on each day, and I really like how it looks at the end of the month. And I'm so excited when it's filled in and proud of myself that I've kept up with it throughout the entire month. So now that I've go ahead and added my title and worked on those doodles, the last part is to actually work on the space where I'll be doing the journaling. I like to use my Tombow markers to highlight every other day. This is just something for me visually that helps me make sure I'm staying on track and also writing in the correct spot. I decided to use this very pretty lilac lavender color to do my lines. Then I went ahead and added in the dates and days of the week, and then of course added a few more of those little dots just to kind of complete the spread. I like having both the date and the day of the week on these lines, again, just to make sure I'm filling in the correct day and staying on top of everything. I like how this turned out. I love how these colors all look together. Now let's go ahead and actually set up the first weekly spread in June. So this spread I am doing very similar to the last weekly spread that I did in May, where I actually have an entire page for my to-do list on the left-hand side, and then my days of the week on the right-hand side for times of events and things like that. I am getting married on June 5th, so this week there is going to be a lot of events and also a lot of to-dos that I need to do that are my final planning before the big day. So I thought this was a perfect spread for me because I know I'm going to have a lot of to-dos. This is one of my favorite things about bullet journaling, is getting to create the layout for your weekly spreads that fit your needs. That was something I always struggled with when I used a traditional planner, and that was one of the main reasons why I switched over to bullet journaling. So I love tailoring my weekly spread layouts to my needs that week. I also think I really like how I write the numbers super big to kind of cover each space for the day of the week. I think it adds just something a little bit more fun and different, and I think it looks really, really cool. So the finishing touch on the spread is just adding again some of those little dots, just adding a little bit more something, and I really am happy with how this turned out. I hope this spread offers all of my, offers enough functionality for my week this week, and I think it's going to be great. Now let's go ahead and take a quick flip through of this setup. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun sharing it with you. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit subscribe. If you like my content, be sure to check me out on Instagram at peachdoodling21. I hope this video gives you some inspiration for your own bullet journal setup. Thank you so much for watching. Happy doodling!